Love what you've done. You spent 6 weeks or
Thank you,
so in
Dave.
California and
Yes, yes,
launched
yeah.
PurelyB in the US.
Yep. Well, soft launch. I mean, it's
Soft, but it's
yeah,
there now. It's
yes,
it's out
it
there.
is. It
You've
is.
done quite a
Yeah.
bit.
It's
Uh,
been quite a journey in getting that done.
what was the I really want to know what's the most fun in everything that you do with PurelyB? What's the most fun that you have in all the many
Ooh.
hats and all the roles that you play?
The most, if I had to pick one.
I won't, you know what?
Okay.
One of the most fun things. I don't want
One
to
of
have
the
to
most
make you
fun
choose.
things.
I don't want you to pick
Okay.
from your babies.
Um, I think one of the most fun things is learning about my heritage. I think really digging into that, there were so many stories I was able to uncover about my ancestors or about Malaysia, about the Malaysian rainforest. And it's fascinating. It's so fascinating that once I find out just a little bit of information from, let's say it's a medical scientist, or whether it's from my auntie who holds a lot of knowledge from our family lineage, I start going down a hole of researching more and getting more information, talking to more people, and it just uncovers more and more. And I get so excited. And I'm like, okay, how can I bottle this up and make this accessible so everyone can know about it and everyone can benefit from it? That is like one of the most fun things. I feel like I tend to just bask in all of the knowledge I'm able to uncover, because I feel that if I'm so excited about learning about it, I'm sure there are others who are too. It's just a shame that a lot of that is not readily accessible in that sense, or in a way that is fun or easy to hear about or learn about. Sometimes it depends on the way the information is relayed to you, right? And then making it relatable to our daily life. And I was just very lucky the way it came to me checked all of those boxes. So I figured I need to figure out a way to make that. So that's definitely one. Like, I think I thrive on that. And there's just so much. I mean, we're just skimming the surface
I
right
know.
now,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Well, you spent 6 weeks or more in
Yeah.
California,
I
and
did. I did. I think
what
you and I met in March.
we
Was it
met in
February?
March.
March? Yeah. We met in
Yes,
March.
yes,
And I
yes.
think I was there for 6 weeks back then. Um, and then I came back again in June, in May, like mid-May, and for another 6 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first 6 weeks we weren't ready yet, in a sense of our products hadn't arrived. Like, we were still going through clearance of FDA and all of that. But we had our warehouse, we had our office, they were all in one space in Torrance. I'm not sure if you remember.
Yeah.
And it was really exciting because at the tail end of that trip where we had met, on my last 2 days, our shipment cleared FDA, everything was good, and it arrived into our warehouse. And I was in the office and I was like standing with a pile of boxes and that big trolley cart, like entering the warehouse, and I was just jumping up and down, excited. It was not easy trying to go through all the regulations. I mean, it's under dietary supplement. It's coming from Malaysia. These are natural herbs. There were a lot of processes and things like that, or even labeling to make it appealing. It wasn't just regulations. It's about what does the market want. So yeah, I think the end of that trip was, to me, like celebrating a milestone that we did it. Now it's in the US. We've done all the processes, everything. Now we can properly sell in the US. And then my following trip, which I just came back from, which we didn't get a chance to meet during that time, but that was about now generating awareness and sales and launching the website.
Nice. So
Yeah.
when we look at your product, one of the best things I liked about your product was it's so easy to sample.
Yeah.
When we were in the busy aisles of that Expo West show, you were really, and I see in the videos, I see sometimes people just open it up, they just pop
Yeah,
it. And
that's right. Yeah.
tell me, for the purpose of this conversation, tell us about PurelyB. Tell us about the brand that you founded, and then, you know, obviously about Pagaga and
Sure, sure. Well, PurelyB really is we started as a wellness educational platform. We really wanted people to empower people with the knowledge on how to lead sustainable, healthy lifestyles with Asian wellness traditions and Asian wisdom in natural health for health and beauty overall. And we have seen how we were able to transform a lot of people's lives just through empowering them the knowledge, because you can imagine, especially in Asia, it was lacking that, especially in the online space, and building an online community through a trusted brand and a platform. And in the beginning, we weren't selling. We were all just about, we want to help people. We want to empower them in knowledge. That's all we want to do. We're not here to make a sale. And it was only years later where we did, and we had built the trust, the reputation, the community then. And now we really dedicated to it's like educational first, and then provide the products that can help them really achieve their health goals and lead sustainable, healthy lifestyles. And those products that we focus on are all based on health and beauty, wellness traditions, ancestral traditions, basically what our ancestors did. It was their natural medicine to help heal their bodies, prevent diseases, and just optimize their wellness. And even for beauty purposes, all the natural way, with herbs and remedies found deep within the Malaysian rainforest. A lot of these are not mainstream. A lot of people don't know about them, but there is abundance of scientific research done over like 15, 20 years. And it's kind of crazy that nobody really thought to create a product that can be accessible for like today's modern lifestyle, the way today's generation want to consume it. But the science is there to show how good it is for you. So we marry it all together, working with like traditional healers, herbalists, and scientists to really create and make this solution accessible for everyone.
Yeah, I think the story that you give is really important because it gives everyone a reason to even look deeper into their own story.
Yeah.
And you know, you're coming into this with the purpose of educating, and not to make the sale.
Yeah.
And the little I know was that, you know, you went through your own health and wellness journey, and
Right.
so
Yeah.
you had to go into your journey without resources. You had to kind of find your own way through that. Yeah, that was, how complicated was that? That was a messy
Oh my
situation,
God.
right?
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge motivator. I mean, it really hit a point where I was dumbfounded, honestly, Uday. Like, so basically the health issues that I had, they just to set the tone, like it wasn't chronic. I wasn't in and out of hospitals, but it was not a way to live. Like every 2 days I would get migraines, and I would have really bad digestion issues. And these are like over, a very long period of time. And I would also always, as a result, break out in rashes. So I would get all these big red bumps. I always break out in rashes every week. So this is like a weekly thing without fail. And I thought that was normal. I didn't realize that this actually, and I was tired all the time, right? So you see the combination of all those factors. I thought I'm just stressed, overworked, blah, blah, blah. And then when I did some tests and found out that actually, because my diet and my lifestyle and my body had developed intolerances to gluten, dairy, egg, wheat, and shellfish, and eating those foods, which a lot of it is processed foods, this is how my body is reacting. But I wasn't born with these intolerances and allergies. I developed them over time because my body was so toxic. My lifestyle was so toxic. But it's not toxic in a bad way. I wasn't leading a completely unhealthy lifestyle. It's just that I lacked a lot of knowledge. That's why knowledge was the most important thing to me. It's like, you need to put that out there. People don't realize the choices they're making, the food that they're taking, the products that they're using, how that all impacts, how it all builds up eventually. But also important was about, how do you also heal your body? Yes, you can change the foods that you eat and all that, but how can you to an even stronger level? It's about the supplements or the herbs, the natural remedies that you consume to accelerate that in your body and maintain that good health. And that required me to look into my heritage and understand more about these powerful plants, the most powerful in the world, from the Malaysian rainforest, that our ancestors took as maintaining good health and overcoming health conditions and whatnot. And eternal youth and radiance. It was like beauty and health. So it was a combination of all those factors that really motivated me to look into changing my lifestyle, changing what I was consuming, and looking more into what were the natural remedies, natural foods, natural supplements, natural superfoods that I could take. It took so much research. And a lot of it was on the Malaysia front, was looking into my heritage, but on the diet front, in terms of like products to consume and whatnot, looking to the West, because you guys, like in the US, in the UK, it's abundance of guidance on how to do that, and people who overcame cancer and other chronic diseases through that lifestyle change, but there was nothing for Asia. And so I had to look into that and cater it for Asian cultures and lifestyles, and combine it with the Malaysian heritage knowledge on wellness. And that was what transformed, like for me, after 1 month of really intense research, but because I was so fascinated by it, I think I was okay. But a lot of people won't spend 1 month to really research and compile all of that. And then after that, in 1 week of making all those changes, it completely changed my life. Like, it was crazy. I don't think I had any expectations. I think once I had all that knowledge, I said, okay, I'm ready for this first week. I'm even going to prepare my own meals. I know exactly what's in it. I know exactly what I'm taking. And I went fully plant-based as well that week. And I remember within a few days, but definitely within the end of the week, no migraines. And this is like every 2 days I would get it up until that point for years. So no migraines, no headaches. My rashes cleared up. My skin was like the best it had ever been. And my energy was at an all-time high. And my digestion was regular for the first time in I don't know how many years. And that's all it took. Like, I had gone to doctors, I had gone for colonoscopy, nothing worked. And that was what it took. And I think that was what I was in a corporate job that I loved, doing digital marketing. But once I went through that in the first week, I think I couldn't even focus on that anymore. I was like, how is nobody creating a platform that can just guide people towards making these kind of lifestyle changes like this? This has changed my life. Like, if I had done this sooner, like I never want to go back to the way I used to feel, like those migraines, those rashes, like that was not normal now to me. I'm like, this is normal. This feels amazing. I want to keep feeling this way. And that's what led me to building PurelyB. But yeah, it was really unexpected.
And you created that body of experience, and you shared it with everyone, which
Yeah.
really is difficult. Like, there's a lot of vulnerability that comes with,
Oh gosh.
feeling like that. I mean, I think, the appearance is that, oh, okay, you found something that made you feel better, but all that time, all those years of just dealing with this, and now to have to share with people, hey, I got something, but here, let me also share more details about what I was going through. How hard was that, opening yourself up?
Well, it was hard. It was really hard. But I think it's hard also because by nature, I am not someone who likes to put that out there. I am a bit more reserved when it comes to my own personal health or personal stories, if that makes sense, right? And I think even social media back then, like, people didn't share too much. Now everyone shares everything, right? Back then it was a bit more protective. So it took a lot of coming out of my comfort zone, but I think because of how much it impacted my life, I think the motivation, I think the passion that I had, like, oh, if I could help somebody else the way I help myself, like even just one person, like, this is worth it. I think that drive like overtook the doubts or the reservations that I had about, this, I'm not so comfortable about talking about this so publicly and all that, or putting myself out there, I think it definitely overrode that. And I think that's what I needed. Like I needed that to be so much stronger that, okay, it doesn't matter. You know what? It's worth it. At the end, if you could just help a few more people, and you need to do it.
So in Malaysia, when you were sharing your first initial results, that
Yeah.
things you were feeling better,
Mm.
what's it like in Malaysia? Like, if you were to share that with doctors or neighbors or family, is this something that they would say, "Oh, of course you feel better"? Were they not surprised, or are they just,
No. Well, I think people were shocked. One thing is that, one, how fast. They're like, what? In 1 week? And I'm like, even I am shocked.
right?
I was like, this is not what I expected. I was like, yeah, let's just see how I feel. But so I think I think I kind of pretty much, they all had similar reactions where they were surprised that how fast things turn around for me, and things like headaches, getting it every 2 days, like completely gone, right?
Yeah,
Like, if not saying that I never, ever get them ever, but it's not to the level that I got it before, and is nowhere near to the frequency that I get it before. And sometimes it's just dehydration,
right.
and yeah, so it's very different. Like, the root cause is very different. And a lot of it was healing my gut. That was key, actually. And that's why the first product we ended up doing was about the gut health, because it's
And,
really down
and
to,
that's with the Pagaga?
that's with the Pagaga. Yeah. So the Pagaga was like our first product that we had launched. And for 3 years, we only had one product, Pagaga by PurelyB, which, as you know, is not just one ingredient, right? It's like an ancient formulation recipe of like the most powerful herbs from the tropics, together with fruits that are beneficial. So it was papaya leaf, Pagaga gotukola, turmeric leaf, black cumin seed, also known as Nigella sativa habataceae, green apples, and dates. And this is such a powerful combination because individually these ingredients are already so strong on its own. And the combination of it actually is in a way to bring out the effectiveness of each of the herbs even stronger. And as you know, like, because you're such an expert, as so you have so much knowledge when it comes to herbs, you can't just mix any herbs together. They're very powerful and strong that sometimes it can be dangerous to do so, and can be toxic even. So we were very lucky in that. I mean, it was, to me, a goal. We're not going to R&D something from scratch in a lab. Who are we to do that? And with like scientists and whatnot, I want to work with the traditional healers and herbalists from the villages of Malaysia, of Southeast Asia. They hold the knowledge through generations of a sacred lineage of healers and herbalists from their family line, where they help to treat communities from generations to generations. They have the most powerful recipes and remedies that have never been commercialized in a mainstream way. Why do we want to reinvent the wheel? Go to them, work with them, help improve their livelihoods, help them be able to make that more accessible to more people, and look at ways we can make it that is easy to consume for today's generation. Because the way they have it is it won't taste good, it's very bitter, and there's so many steps. You have to grind it, you have to boil it, you have to do it this way and all that stuff. Like, how do you not do away, but simplify all of that in a way, so that you can just make it available to everybody. And so that's what we did. Pagaga was that. We work with Kaida, amazing. We call her bidan in Malaysia. That means village midwife. Also like traditional healer and herbalist. One of the most renowned ones in Malaysia. If I meet people, they all know her because she helped to treat them when they gave birth or when they had health conditions. She'll come over and she'll do like those massages with the oils, with the special herbal oils that helps to really, it's almost like acupuncture, like those pressure points really heal the body.
Yeah.
And she'll make those herbal drinks. And Pagaga was her signature star drink. That she would help to heal a lot of women, a lot of people, a lot of men and children. And I was very lucky to know her. because of my sister, who's a naturopath who fully believes in Kaida's abilities, and she goes for a lot of treatments to Kaida. And meeting her, and it's funny, Uday, I met her 1 week after I met Professor Bodeker, who is a renowned medical scientist from Harvard and Oxford, who's Australian, but he believes Pagaga and Malaysian herbs are the most powerful in the world. I met him first. He was educating me that Pagaga is one of the most powerful. It is an all-in-one. It's for the brain, it's for the skin, it's for the gut. It's like one of those rare all-in-one herbs. And it helps to slow down Alzheimer's and reduce depression, but it helps like with skin radiance, collagen production. And I was like, what is this crazy herb? And he knew more about our local herb than I did. And I had to research it 1 week later when I knew I wanted to do something with this herb, but I wanted to find a proven ancient remedy, and somebody had done that and work with them. 1 week later, I met Kaida and spoke to Kaida and told her, do you know Pagaga? And she said, yes, of course. It's amazing for skin, da, 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 da. And I asked her, do you know where I can find a ready-made recipe that's proven, that's been used for many years? And she just looked at me and she's like, I make it. That's what I give to your sister. That's what I've been giving to all my customers and all that. And I was like, we need to talk. And then I told her what I wanted to do, and together with Professor Bodeker, and that, it just went from there, and it moved really fast. And I'm so lucky to have both Professor Bodeker and Dr. Kaida as my partners in creating these products.
So, when I hear stories from entrepreneurs, I hear about these perfect storms or this perfect timing. Is that what you would chalk that up to? Was that just like
oh my God.
timing?
It is, because sometimes I feel like, oh, I wish we had discovered this sooner. I wish we had done this sooner. But with hindsight, like, we couldn't have, because we needed to build a strong community, the strong educational platform. There were so many elements as to why when we launched Pagaga, it was a success. So had we done it sooner, it wouldn't have had the same result. So already the timing of even doing the product, to me, was like, it was meant to be. Like, it was meant to be that year. And also meeting Kaida and meeting Dr. Bodeker, the timing of it, I feel like if it's, I believe in divine timing. And if this is your destiny, or if this is fated to happen, it will flow. There may be obstacles in other ways, not that, there will be no obstacles, but it will flow in this way where you will know that this is your calling in that sense, like you're meant to do this. But the crazy thing as well was, so we've been around for 8 years. When we launched Pagaga Superfood Blend, it was 4 years later in 2019. And I was doing research about Pagaga leaf. And as I was Googling, the leaf images came out, but as illustrations. And I looked at it, I was like, wait a minute. And then I looked at my business card, and the logo of our name, PurelyB, which we designed in 2015, is a Pagaga leaf. And I remember the designer told me that when the graphic designer was like building the bee, a leaf in the shape of a bee, and which is what Pagaga is, in the shape of a bee. And she was like, oh, this is like Pagaga. It's almost similar to a ginkgo leaf, but this is a go-to cola. She didn't say Pagaga, she called it go-to cola. She said it's for health, longevity. And I said, I love it. I want to use that. And then when I looked at it, I was like, okay, this is
How about that?
so strange. But yeah, those little things.
Yeah, but those signs, I think those signs matter. I think they matter as much as the people that you meet when you meet them. You've been meeting quite a few people in the last year. Even me meeting you, I was so happy to meet you. During that time at Expo West, you were on a blitz. You and your colleague Marianne.
Yeah.
You guys were dominating, like divide and conquer. That's what I remember. I remember you two. You would walk in. You guys did your 1, 2, 3 recap, and then to the off to the next meeting.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
that like for you guys? Like, so you're in the idea phase, you're in the idea business. You had this concept, you're the dreamer, but then when you're out there on the pounding the pavement, right? You guys are really moving
Yeah.
and everywhere, wheeling and dealing, shaking hands. Um, how do you like that part of the gig?
Actually, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because I, I mean, like the Expo West, for example, it was a huge event, thousands of people. And I
Yeah.
feel like the vibe, though, the event, there was so much synergy. I think because everyone who's there is like they love natural health. They love
That really
healthy,
is a good spot. That's a good spot.
right? So it
Yeah.
was like, oh, you're just feeding off with us energy. It was great. Like I felt like adrenaline almost
Yeah.
being there. It felt very positive because people I met, people like you, Day, you, Mateus, things like that, who are similar wavelength. So, I mean, obviously, I'm a little bubble because we're Expo West. It's not like going to a typical expo. It really is a natural health food expo. But still, like to be able to then connect with people in that community who immediately you click, immediately you're on the same wavelength, immediately they get what you're doing. So we
Yeah.
didn't need like a lot of explanation, a lot of even convincing or anything. It's just they got it. So I think Expo West being the first place that we went to having to spread their education and like hand out samples, that was really motivating because the response was of course great because people there already wanted these kind of products and we had something unique to offer. So I think that was good because then they wanted to know more because like, oh, tiger milk mushroom, that's chaga, that's reishi, all of that. I've never heard of tiger milk mushroom. What is this?
Right.
And so I think getting that kind of response is that people want to know more. So I think I love that part is because we started as educational. That's how I started. So I think I do thrive on that when I meet people. If it's about sharing knowledge, education, I enjoy that. And then give them the sample for them to try. So once they like, okay, now I want to try it, then give them the sample. And then I think seeing their response when they try it, because I think mushrooms in general don't taste good as a powdered supplement or anything. That's that taste to it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I
it does
think,
have that.
right? And I think that's the mindset or expectation when if I'm gonna take a mushroom supplement. But when they try out tiger milk and if they take it direct and they're like, oh, it's like gummy worms. It's like, but in a natural way, right? Like, and it's like sour candy. I think seeing their response and then how much they enjoy it and then they want to grab another one, or like the pagaga cookies, where you guys can like grabbing more.
Yes.
Then that's my favorite part too. So I think Expo West was a great place to start. It put us on the right track, or I would say the right emotions, the emotions we wanted to feel when we start doing that.
Yeah, I think so that you can see from the reactions of the people that you're approaching that obviously
Yeah.
you're a fan and a proponent of the PurelyB products. You're using them, you
Yeah.
believe in them, but you're seeing it manifest across from you. So if you're speaking to someone, they take a sample, they tell you what they think about it. Then you've met other people that have probably tried it over a period of time. And
Yeah.
what are those initial reactions like when people come back to you after a month of having used your product and what first of all, what do they say? What are some
Okay.
reactions that they come back to you with?
Well, so it varies. It varies all the time. And it's not usually after a month. It's usually after I hear from them after a week.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I think after a month, it's like they're already buying the next one in that sense. And then they will just say, oh, this is what I experienced. Like, I love it. And they'll explain the benefits. But what I've experienced more is like after a week or after a few days, then they'll reach out to me and they're like, I felt the difference immediately. Like I remember just yesterday, I was talking to someone and they said it was instant, like the next day, digestive health. And I said, yes, when it comes to the gut, when it comes to digestion, that is probably the fastest benefit you would experience. That's what it was for me as well. Like literally like within hours, I felt the benefit, but everyone is different. So I don't expect that, but it's nice to see within 1 week, that would be the number one. Like I remember this might be TMI. One of our customers had really bad constipation and once a month. And then would go once a month, and then said after she took our product, Pagaga, she went every day. And that was after taking it for 2 days.
Wow.
Then it went, and I was like, wow, okay. So and again, like I can't promise happens to everybody that fast or whatnot, but those are the kind of stories that I get. And then within 1 month, definitely is people with their skin. There are those who had like breakouts, like rashes, breakouts, or allergic reactions. And one of them particularly, she ended up buying bucket loads, like bulk, because she was buying it with friends and family because of what it did for her. And she had like I guess it was like allergic reaction of some sort. And she broke out in all these rashes. And after 3 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks of consuming the Pagaga, it went away. And because she's had these reactions before, she said it doesn't clear that fast. It doesn't heal that fast. And now whenever she gets reactions, it's never as bad or not as frequent. And so it's really made a difference to her skin. But I guess just in general, even people who don't have problems, they say that the skin like feels more radiant. Like it's just like, I don't know, my skin is like brighter. People have been complimenting me and whatnot. So yeah, I think like there's 1 month results, there's few days results, but those are the most common. Those are the things that I hear like practically like instantly from people who try our product.
So, beauty within is such a big category over years. I know, personal care companies have been trying to find ways to tap into dietary supplements but deliver it in personal care products where they have higher margins, and they want to tell people like here, beauty within. You've got a product right now. Basically, you're saying you take this product, it improves your digestion, and then through the improved digestion, one of the outcomes is radiant skin. I mean, this is, I mean, but that plays into,
basically.
I mean, gut health is a huge topic right now. I recently went to India and visited a probiotic factory. It's a big category. I mean, you've got a product right now that's been in the market for a number of years. It just, you, like you said, you've been in business you were founded 8 years ago.
Yes,
so
20.
And for the first 4 years, you only had one product, which was this gut health product. And now, and now gut health is like the major category. Everyone wants to be part of gut health. I wish we had something in gut health. So I guess you're going to be the darling of the upcoming supply side West Ball.
I hope so. We really want to be at supply side. I haven't yet applied. I need to start applying. Things have been so busy. It's not too late.
Believe it or not, maybe if you're not here, we just need your product here. That's all. You just have to get enough ambassadors. Spreading your product around.
Definitely.
I can tell you that I just going on a business trip, it's a reminder of how easily you can fall into the trap of like, just not eating right. Like, even if you do everything right, but you still, like today, like at the airport, stranded extra 4 or 5 hours, and you're trying to think like, okay, what would I normally do right now? It's like, it's breakfast time. I would but you're so out of kilt. I was almost inclined to just like order some food and like, what am I doing? Anyway, minding my business and just staying in my little corner. I was reading a book, and I realized that, not traveling as much as I used to has done wonders for my diet. Like and I don't know if it's just, it wasn't laziness, but it was, really like training. I think if I were to train young salespeople, I would absolutely give them a proper training in health and nutrition on the road. Like, because that's a game. You can get through your 20s recklessly, but then you got to pay the price for that.
That's right. I mean, Uday, I just turned 40, right? Like 3 weeks ago. And
Fellow
you
Cancer. Happy birthday, belated birthday to you.
thank you, thank you. And your energy at 40 is not going to be the same as when you're 20. And 8 years ago, when I was in my 30s or like early 30s, starting the business, obviously, people are, oh yeah, like she's the energy you can have to just go, go, go and hustle for your business, right? But I feel the same today. I don't feel 40. And it's funny because when people meet me, because of my energy levels, because of that, they're like, I thought you were in your late 20s. So I thought, and I was like, no, 40-year-old hustling entrepreneur right now.
Yeah.
But I think exactly what you said, it's what you put into your body, your nutrition, your diet. It affects all of that. It affects how you feel, it affects the energy that you have, it affects how you look. It really is so important. And that's why to me, it completely changed the way I felt, the way even like I feel, like how I look as well, like my skin and everything. And so that's why religiously, it is a very conscious decision when I go out and whatnot. Like even if, I started having intolerances to gluten, dairy, and all now because of the those Malaysian herbal superfood blends that we make and we take, like tiger mushroom and pagaga, I actually don't have those intolerances anymore. Like I don't
Wow.
react anymore. Yeah, tiger mushroom played a big role there too, but together with healing the gut. So if I ate something of dairy or gluten, actually I don't get the symptoms I used to get anymore, where I'd get rashes and whatnot. But I make a conscious decision still not to eat it, because to
Right.
me, dairy is highly processed and gluten is too.
Right.
So for me, it's like my body may not react anymore. It doesn't mean I'm just gonna like start eating it again, because I still feel better, like energy wise and all that, when I don't. So I
Yeah.
may not get all the other symptoms, but I feel my best self when I have clean diet and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you being the ambassador, the lead ambassador for your own product, and then you carry that energy and that vibe.
Yeah.
You have that level of enthusiasm. So obviously, it speaks to the product. What's a product? In addition to what you've been taking through
Yes.
PurelyB,
Yeah.
what other types of products helps you with indigestion that you know maybe other people wouldn't even think about, because there's so many gems, so many hidden gems, right? Like not everything is
Yeah.
bought off the retail shelf. Like you
No,
have
no,
grandma's
yeah,
remedies.
exactly, exactly. There's definitely one of them is a herb called this is particularly for women wellness, particularly for like hormone balancing, which is a huge thing, like
Okay.
PMS or menopause or fertility, all of those aspects. So there's two particular herbs that are hidden gems, also from the Malaysian rainforest. But people also do offer them globally. What's the word? In Malaysia, we call it manjakani.
Okay.
Um, I think it's Quercus something in Latin. Might have to Google that.
Look it up.
Manjakani, Manjakani,
Okay.
Manjakani. And another one is called Kachip Fatima, KACIP FATIMAH. So these two are very powerful for women hormone balancing, basically women internal health. And back in the day, that's what our ancestors would take for fertility, hormone balancing, for menopause symptoms. So what it does, it actually lessens and slow down the effects of menopause. That's
Wow.
one thing for women who are in that category. Women who just have their periods and all that, actually really reduces the PMS symptoms, whether it's menstruation cramps or whatever you may feel from it. It really helps to reduce that. And it really helps when hormone balancing, it affects skin, it affects fertility, it affects everything. So it helps with that overall for just women in general. But fertility is a very big thing for this as well. So these are some of the hidden gems that we don't have products for yet. We have the recipes technically, because we work with the traditional healers and herbalists. So they hold these ancient recipes, they have it. We haven't launched anything yet. But these are some, like, to me, that is when, actually, if you talk to a lot of the grandmas or like the, you know, the older generation in Malaysia, especially from the rural villages and all that, they would speak very highly of these two herbs particularly. So yeah, those are two that I get very excited about, because I feel like that people in Malaysia may know of it. That I think is that well known, but outside of Malaysia, I think not so much. Indonesia, yes. So Indonesia and Malaysia known. Outside of our countries, not. But there's no one really providing it in, like, you know, how we do instant superfood blends. You just mix it in water, take it, or you take it direct. Like, nobody's doing
Right.
it in that way. It's still the very, very traditional way.
Yeah.
Or it's like capsules, you
Yeah.
know, and yeah, it's different. It's not really for your daily routine type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I when I see my parents, so my parents are not big fans of taking medicine, but
Yeah,
they'll
popping pill.
take, yeah, they don't like taking pills, and I don't blame them. But you know, that's one of the reasons why I try to find different ways to give them supplements. You know, maybe
Yeah.
you know, sometimes they're oils, you put it in the food,
Yeah.
or different things like that. But I think culturally, I get the sense, even when I go to India, the way supplements are administered in the US, where you know, you go to any a health and wellness store, you have 5 shelves of so
Mm,
many options. I mean, you really have a ton of options, but you know, it's pretty expensive.
yeah.
If you even get a tub of protein powder, nothing else, just
Yeah.
basic protein
Yeah.
powder, even the least expensive tub is still going to be pretty expensive compared to supplements overseas. So like in India, in Malaysia, in a lot of these countries, they're getting these grandma's remedies
Yeah.
with very
Yeah.
economic price point.
Yes.
Very, like, it's not, it's, you know, I mean, you think that something that's this miraculous should be very expensive, but
Yeah.
it's readily available for everybody to consume.
Yeah.
How do you make the leap, right? From a business standpoint, here you have something that is like so in need, it has a huge demand, you have a huge market in the US, but
Yeah.
you know what you can sell it for and make it for and sell it for in Malaysia,
Yeah.
and then what you're gonna have to do here in the US. How do you make that sense out of that?
Yeah, honestly, it was, I would say, like a year in the making of taking what we have in Malaysia and bringing it to the US, because there was so many things to figure out. One is, of course, you know, how do you position it in the US? Is it the same here? Are the customers is the demographic that is buying it here in Malaysia the same there? Or do we need to really do more research and test out the market to figure it out? And so, and then even like the way, I remember even the packaging style today, even though our packaging is not too different, it's still pretty much same, but it was more vibrant for the US, because when you're on the shelves there in the US markets, especially in California, LA, the competition you have, even though they're completely different products, but their packaging is amazing, right? Like, it's so exciting, it's so fun, it's so trendy. Whereas in Malaysia, it's more standard. Not saying that it's not nice, but it's not. You guys are so creative there in the US. So we even had to up our game there, even in terms of colors, vibrancy, everything, so that on the shelf, it would at least be on par, right? Or stand out in some way. So already that, but then when we had to look at messaging, that was very key, because honestly, in Malaysia, I never took the angle about our origin story that strongly. It was there, but it was like a by the way. But I knew coming to the US, we were working with our US partners who knew the US market, that like, that is the hook. That's why people want, they need to know the origin story, the heritage, like the Malaysian rainforest needs to come out stronger. Like, that is a big part of who you are. And you need to go out there more. You need to tell your story more. And I realized in Malaysia, I did that in the beginning. And as time went on, like, I tried to take a back seat because I felt like I didn't want to keep doing that too much. Maybe I felt like they don't need to see so much of me and all of that. Whereas in the US, they're like, you're the founder, you're the story, you're a walking testimony, you need to go out there more and blah, blah, blah. And it was really rewiring the way I was thinking, that like, you need to do more videos, there was so many things. It was like from packaging, it's from messaging, it's from me myself, how I needed to go out there, all that needed to change. And it took quite a bit of like changing my mindset on things to do that, to adapt. And price point, obviously shipping it over is expensive. So we need to factor that in. Like, what will give us decent margins after we factor in the shipping costs from Malaysia all the way to, and plus customs and everything, to the US. So I think, and then the warehouse facilities cost there and everything. So when we factored all that in, funnily enough, the cost, so we actually get US customers prior to launching in the US already. So they would go to our Malaysia website and they would buy, in bulk, in the bulk regularly, and they would pay double the price of the Malaysia product to get it shipped, and then they have to pay customs over and above that. So we saw how much they were already paying. So what they would pay now getting it from the US, from a US website, is cheaper than all of that combined. But the retail price is more expensive than Malaysia, but we can never offer what we offer in Malaysia because of the shipping. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so, that's one of the hardest things that I think from, so I want to take this back to you. Before you started this, you were in a digital marketing role and you loved it. You were really enjoying
I
it.
did. Yeah.
How much did that experience actually come into play, like for you to like eventually use this, right? Like in your own business?
Oh, it was instrumental. I honestly feel no matter how good a product you have, if you don't know how to market it well, it's going to be really difficult. I mean, it'll be difficult regardless, but I think marketing is the most key thing. And I was lucky that I didn't have to pay for that, because that was my core. That was what I could offer to my company, and my business partners, they were like the health experts. They offered that. So we all had our strength to contribute to the company. And I believe your co-founders are very, very key. Find out where your gaps and your weaknesses are, and you fill that with your partners. And in marketing, because digital is the most cost-effective way of marketing. So that also, I wasn't just marketing, I was very focused on digital marketing. And back in 2015, like that was the cusp, right? Like digital marketing is really like in that stages where everyone is doing digital marketing. Social media was picking up. There weren't really influencers or anything at the time, I don't think. But it was still like, that was a platform people go for discovery and whatnot. So that helped me a lot, because we didn't have a lot of capital. When we first launched the platform, we had no money for marketing, nothing. Everything went to building the platform, building the content. And so when you have no money for marketing, having the tools and the knowledge or the expertise on how to market is the most important thing, because you don't have the budget for it. And so I knew how to do that. I knew how to reach out to the company, how to build the brand. I did my own tagline. I came out with the company name, PurelyB. And so everything was me, like in that sense. So, and that made a difference, because one, it was very authentic to who I was and what I wanted to build in the brand. It wasn't some marketing agency that came out with it. It was me. Like it came from my heart, my soul. Like that's what I want to put out there. So I think that was really important. And two, it's like to be able to even do that, the branding, the marketing, all that, when you have no budget. So that made a huge difference. We only raised money towards the tail end of the first year. So prior to that, it was like, and raising money, again, very mindful. Didn't spend it much on marketing. It was a little bit. So I had to put my brain towards, how do I stretch every dollar that we spend? So yeah, to me, that is one of the most essential skill sets. And even launching products. When we launched Pagaga, we didn't put any money to marketing. We were already 4 years old as a company, and we were doing a pilot for the product. And I knew, as a marketeer, the only way you know if there's demand for a product is if you test it out in a very cost-effective way. Organic, do it organic. Put the product out there, have a strategy that's organic, and let the people tell you what they want without you putting paid dollars to market it to them. And when we saw the response, we were able to sell out within 2 weeks. Even though, you know, we didn't put it was zero marketing, that to us was like, okay, this is a validation. Let's try that again and put nominal budget to it and make sure we can get something like 10 times ROI, 20 times ROI. And then we managed to do that in the second month. I was like, okay, now we know this works. Now let's scale. Let's make sure we have the right infrastructure to scale. Because I wasn't going to do all of that. It takes money, time, resources if the customers weren't validated in what they wanted. So that came from my marketing experience as well.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, you're like a poster child for the modern day, like, student who might underestimate. It's interesting what's happening right now. Like I've got these I got
Right.
kids at home, and they're
Oh,
9.5 and 11.
yeah, knowledge on the next generation.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is my 11-year-old is in 7 years, so your company is 8 years old. Okay.
Oh my God.
So
We're
in
older
less time, yeah, less time than how long your company's been in business, my daughter will
Yeah.
go to college. So
Yeah.
it's within this time frame that, you know, they do learn, like, maybe what do they want to do? Maybe they start getting itches, and maybe, like, so, but, you know, I continually tell her that I work with all types of entrepreneurs of all ages. Um,
Right.
but I can tell you, every single person I know, they had a baseline of something that they were proficient in.
Right.
Like, you
Right.
know,
Got
no
it.
one I know, no, I don't know any of the 16-year-old one hit wonders. I don't know any one of those, but I know the overnight success stories that took 30 years. You know, right?
Exactly.
Like, I
Exactly.
know those.
Exactly.
So you at 32, you had a budding career, you decide to put it all into a business, and, you know,
Yeah.
you're still young, and you still are young, you're fabulously young. That's the beautiful thing about where we are today. You
Yeah.
know, I love this idea of what you're doing, because it plays into my mindset of living beyond.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
culturally, we come from we're very stable background. Stability is value. Okay, like, you know,
Right.
get the
Yeah.
job, do this, you'll
Rock
get
the
the
boat.
education. Oh, okay, you're done with school, you got the job. All right, time to get married. Up, time to have kids. Okay,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right, you know, don't do anything, no motorcycles, right? Like, no risk taking. Everything's just stability. But what's interesting is the parents, I'll take my parents, for example. You know,
Yeah.
once they fulfill those responsibilities, those obligations to society, like as good parents, raising kids, get the kids married, settled. Okay, they're got gainful employment. Okay, they're good. Then
Yeah.
these parents, they don't sometimes have something else behind that they don't have another life plan. They lived for their kids. And
Mm,
we live in an era now where, you know, when you're 60, you still could have another good 40 years to live.
that's
Like,
true.
40, like, and that means if you were making good, like, if you're
Yeah.
if I'm hanging out with you, Jess, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to have anything other than I'm gonna have a healthy mindset. I'm gonna be thinking healthy, and that means I will benefit in 20 years. I'll have
Yeah.
less issues, less medical problems, but I also have more medical resources available to me if something. So
Yeah.
with all the help that we have, we could live to 100. And
That's
we should be
yeah.
thinking about that. Even, like, I want my kids today at age 11, I want them to think, what kind of cartwheels are you going to be doing at 75?
Yes.
Right? Like, let them think like that. Why not? Because I've seen some grandmas doing cartwheels, and, you know,
We find out what they're taking.
it's important. I think, you know, having the brand owner also be someone who testifies to the product,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you didn't go into this trying to sell a product. You came into this as a student, and you're sharing your education. uh,
Yeah.
that's what I found most inspiring when I met you. That's what I took away from your product. Even the marketing of the product, it's very, very close to home. You continually
Mm.
focus and emphasize where it's from, and
Yeah. Yeah.
specifically the local people who are behind
Yeah.
cultivating and making the product, you'll continue to highlight them. And all of this, when you, I think, are very impressive. You've done so much in a short period of time. I can't imagine this has been stress-free.
Oh God,
You must,
no.
I mean, walk me through a dark moment. Like,
Oh
maybe, I mean, did you ever have a moment where you were like, I'm done?
no,
Okay, never that bad.
never reached that point. I think the lowest point was because I'm very spiritual. So I turn a lot to God or just and the universe and everything. And I think at the lowest point, I was asking for guidance. And I think at the lowest point, I was asking for guidance that if this is not what I'm meant to do anymore, then show it to me. Because I felt like I was getting too many signs to keep going, that were like all these good things that were still happening, even though it was so challenging. Let's say you were running out of money and things like that. You're like, I don't know how we're going to survive. I don't know how, but all these little positive things is showing that, no, wait, you're in the right direction. So it's confusing. And so I remember at the toughest point, I was like, I just need guidance. Because if this is not when I can end it, I can shut it down, even though of course there's a whole emotional attachment, but I had reached a point where it was not about that anymore. It's like, if this is not going to help as many people, it's not going to be able to grow any further, then if it's clear to me, I would end it. I would shut it down and I would celebrate what I have built and take a lot of reflections and see what would I like to do next. Like I was ready for that, should it have come to that. And I wouldn't have been ready for that earlier on. Like that was only later on where I think I was at a good place. I'm like, if this really, I can let it go. I can shut it down. I can, if that's what I meant to be, but show me that that's what I'm a guide, like make it clear to me. Cause right now it is confusing. And I remember like after all those prayers, like a lot of big opportunities came, and then then things turned around and whatnot. It wasn't overnight, but it wasn't like a year later either, because I don't think we had a year necessarily. But it, you know what I mean? But it was pretty fast. It was fast enough, and it was just like one thing after another thing, right? Where it was clear that no, basically God and the universe is saying, keep going. Like these are all tests. Because I believe that everything's a test in life, right? Like to make you a better person, make you a better entrepreneur, make your company better, make you on the right path and everything. And that's what it was, during that low point. And with reflection, I could see why. Like I could see, oh, okay, this is why we needed to go through that. This is why, because we came out of it, obviously, being a much better company. The way we approach things as well was much better, and that's what we needed to be able to then take things to the next level. So yeah.
How much has your family been, how much of a role has your family played on this journey?
Huge. I mean, my family are all investors at different times. In the beginning, like my dad, I have to say, is my rock. Like my dad is my number one, and always. He is. I remember in the beginning, he was so worried about me because traditional Asian parent, they're not used to startups. I had a very good, stable job, high paying, all of that in a very big company in Malaysia, and I quit my job to do PurelyB. I didn't have an office. I didn't have a retail store. I didn't have anything physical. It was an educational platform. So everything was on my laptop. And that worried the hell out of my dad. He was like, I don't understand what she's doing. She's just carrying her laptop with her everywhere she goes. I just remember my dad like so concerned and wanting to help me out as much as he could. But he's a chartered accountant. Like he's a finance guy, very traditional. He doesn't understand any of this. So he's just like trying to just connect me with people. Like he knew some people who were in the startup. They're more like venture capitalists because, one of them knew him back in the finance days and all that. And he'd like, connect me with them. And they were great advisors. So my dad would like try to say, okay, I really don't understand this at all. So he would talk to people and say, oh, she's doing this. And then they'd be like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'd like to talk to her, and blah, blah, blah. So my dad actually opened a lot of doors for me just out of his pure concern. Like he ended up
Beautiful,
opening.
though. That's so beautiful to hear how much your dad supported you and really for
Yeah.
you. I mean, I think it's a normal thing for a father to worry about. I would worry about my kids too.
Yeah.
But I asked that question because I saw, I think your dad was acknowledged for something and you had shared
Oh,
a post,
yes.
and I saw you speaking so glowingly about your dad. And listen, I know a lot of ladies will speak glowingly about their dads. I've read a lot of really awesome
Yeah.
things. I love,
Yeah.
I've got 3 daughters.
Oh,
I
they're
love
gonna
the
say the
affection they
same
give me.
thing.
But you spoke so eloquently. You wrote so eloquently about your dad that I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I'm not surprised that you have a strong, supportive father. Just
Yeah.
the culture, right? Like the culture doesn't always
Yeah.
say that like this is the thing we should do, but that's
No.
where father trumps culture.
Yes. Yes, exactly, exactly. And the thing about my dad is that, yeah, he came from a very traditional background, career-wise and personally.
Yeah.
But, when I wanted to study multimedia technology and design for my university degree, back then, that's the 2001, like no one
Yeah,
really.
you were always ahead of the curve. You were always ahead.
And my dad didn't question it. He was
That's
like, that's what you want to do. I support it.
wow. That's
And it wasn't like, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer, you got to study economics and blah, blah, blah. And I did tell him why I wanted to do it. And I said, I believe digital is the future. And I want to know more. I want to learn more. And that I feel if we're not ahead, we'll get left behind. And so my dad from day one has always been that kind of person until today. Like he talks about PurelyB, like to all, whoever he meets, he talks about it and so on. So people are like, oh, I want it. And they'll go to my website. My dad will be like, oh, my friend wants to buy or whatnot. Like it's so cute because he's obviously not in the industry at all. But it's just to me like those little ways of supporting. And because my dad is my idol,
right.
it's not just him as a parent, like just how he has conducted himself in his career professionally. I admire it so much. I mean, I observed since I was a little girl, and my dad like worked so hard all his life. And even though, he was the partner of PricewaterhouseCoopers, and, he was in a lot of like high positions and all that, he could have, I think like he was just, you would never know that about him. Like he was the most humble. There was no such thing as like, okay, now I can rest on my laurels or I can take a step back. No, he would go like, he would fall asleep on his office chair in his study room in the house every night in his robe. He would fall asleep working at his desk, but he would always make time for family. He'd always make time for family holidays. And so it was never like work trumps family, but he was working like crazy too. And I would get people's feedback about him, like how much they respect him and things like that. And I'm like, wow, I hope at the age of 70, people are talking like that about me. So my dad is like, I hold him in the highest of pedestals. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful tribute, Jess. I look forward to one day meeting your dad.
Yeah,
That's
me
beautiful.
too. Come to Malaysia.
Yeah,
We'll have
I, I'm
lunch.
I'm actually talking to a vitamin E manufacturer out of Malaysia, so
Cool.
maybe we'll work something out, and I have to go visit them.
Do that for sure.
I was thinking, I was like, am I working on trying to I just want to visit Malaysia, hang out with Jess. Is that why we're doing
Oh,
this?
I have so
Um,
much to show you when you come here, Day. You'd love it.
no, we definitely have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
I don't want to take too much more of your time. One of the main reasons I wanted to do this, Jess, is because I have come into a place in my career now where I am so lucky to meet so many people that give me more than I could possibly give them. So early in my career, I would work so hard. It was very hard for anyone to give me more than I was giving them. Okay.
Right.
I was
Right.
just I was just too hard worker. Uh,
Yeah.
and now I look at it and I'm like, wow, I'm still a hard worker, but I meet people who have their own momentum. Like you've got
Right.
years
Right.
of experience and you have your father and you have all this behind you.
Yeah.
meet you and we spent a little bit of time, and all that energy, all of it comes together in just maybe a few conversations and
Yeah.
maybe a couple of, but something there was deeper than just a commercial opportunity to do business.
Oh,
Because honestly, I don't even know, I don't even really see where that business opportunity is. And I'm happy about that, because most of the things that I've ever done in my life in terms of business, they're not usually straightforward. They tend to be relationship
yeah.
based. You end up meeting the right people, and then suddenly opportunities open up, but you never even knew it was that opportunity.
Yeah. Those are
So
the best.
those are the
Yeah.
best. And you know, I'm able to say to you that I worked hard enough to be in a position to meet you, to get to know Matthias, um,
Um,
to get to know, like, you know, for me to have a friendship with Matthias, who I see maybe, like, you know, maybe once a year I'll see him. Okay. But even then, the short period of time that we got to know each other, I realized that this industry has just heavyweight after heavyweight after heavyweight. We have so many inspiring
yeah.
people in our industry. And we do get a chance to network at some of these events. We get the chance to talk. But this long form conversation style, it's kind of coming back.
Yeah.
People,
I
I
like
was
it.
at the airport, I was listening to my podcast, and
Ah,
I just go find, like, sometimes I'll just Google an interesting person that I'm like, hey, has this person been on a podcast? I'd love to, and then I'll find them. I'll find, like, yeah, like I just want to hear people talk about their stories, and like if they're if,
ah,
and what I've found is that, you know, cutting this up into like 10-second, 20-second cuts, that's nice, because that helps all of us get our message out. We want people to know. I want people to know about PurelyB. I want people to
yeah.
know about your product. I want people to know that it's available for sale in the US now. And we have to promote it, because not because you're a solid human being and a solid individual and a good entrepreneur, but you actually have a product that
Yeah.
actually will help our gut. And I know more than anything else, indigestion is the most uncomfortable feeling ever. So if you have it, you have it. Now you have a Pagaga product to use.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. From Malaysia, from a Malaysian rainforest.
the
Yeah.
Malaysian rainforest, and it's a good time to be sharing our stories. We live in the greatest storytelling era ever.
It
Uh,
is.
and if and like, so I was with Eric Hummel. I think I you know, one of these shows, I'll definitely want to introduce you to him. You were talking about
Great.
packaging. He was
Yeah.
telling me that the US is substandard in packaging compared to Korea and Japan. He's like, in
Oh, that
Korea
I
and
have to try.
Japan, they're fearless about colors. He's like, Uday, he's like,
That's
they will use colors in Japan
true.
and in Korea that you walk into a store, you think you took mushrooms. He's like, everything's bright and neon, everything's super
That's a
bright.
good point. Their packaging is like amazing.
And
Yeah.
so he was telling me, he was like, because he's in the gaming industry, he makes supplements for gamers.
Oh,
Yeah, I think there's some,
gamers.
yeah,
Wow.
he's a solid guy, Eric. He's the guy I was with in India, and
Right.
he was telling the Indians, he's like, you guys need to step up your packaging game, because, like, you know, you're putting everyone to sleep, which is which, you know, you address that. And but
Yeah.
there's no better package than the actual ambassador, the founder of the company, the brand owner.
Yeah.
You know, when that person is authentic, it's very, very easy to then tell that story over and over again.
Yeah.
That's what I really found most impressive about you, that every time I see even anything promotional about your product, I feel like it was made by you. That content was made by you. This product is
Right.
got your DNA in it.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
so happy that I got a chance to meet you. I got a chance to get to know you a little bit better. I'd
Yeah.
love to have more conversations with you in the future as you continue to
Definitely.
grow the company.
Definitely.
Jump on board and we chat, and you know, that's, you know, I just really enjoyed just chatting it up with you. And, you know, hopefully you come out to Supply Side West. Hopefully you make it out here.
Yes. I mean, I definitely plan to. I hope we can get a booth, but I think it might be difficult by now, but still gonna try. If you don't
Yeah.
try, you don't. That's the
Yeah,
whole
you never
motto.
know. You know, you just gotta find you gotta find some other ways, maybe, like, to you know, if not a booth, then maybe, you know, you find some other way to
Yeah,
put your product in front of
that's
someone.
true.
But
That's true.
uh
Yeah. because we do have a unique ingredient. So
It's so unique. It's so
yeah.
unique. So did you want to tell us if I wanted to buy some
Yes.
pagaga
Yeah.
right now, what would I do? Where do I go?
Okay, so if you wanted to buy pagaga for which is especially for the gut, skin, and the brain, or tiger milk mushroom, which I mentioned is like sour candy sachets that you could take. That is particularly for lung health. So like sinus, bronchitis, asthma, or just breathing better and good sleep, and for allergies. Then you can go to PurelyB.com, PURELYB.com. And you can click which one you want to know more about and buy. And I have a special code for all your listeners, Uday, which is welcome 10. So just add that promo code in and you get 10% off your
Awesome.
order.
All right. So PurelyB.com and the discount code to use is welcome 10.
Yes. Yes.
Fabulous, fabulous. So I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna definitely look forward to going through this. And then I'll send something your way to look at so you can kind of look at it over. And then, you know, I definitely want to regroup with you when you do make your way back to the US.
Yes. I hope to be back in September.
Okay.
Yeah, more, I guess more towards tail end of September. I know there's quite a number of events and things like that going on in the wellness industry. Some I think it's just network events as well for it, and across September, October to November. So I think probably want it to be a 2-month trip if I can. So
Exciting.
we'll see. Yeah.
Well,
Hope, you'll definitely be at supply side. Will you definitely be at supply side?
I'll definitely be there. Yeah, I booked my fare and everything. I booked my hotel.
Nice.
And I'm working on trying to put together. In fact, you met Paula from Go Dharmic.
Yes. How is she?
She's doing well. She's doing well. In fact, the founder of Go Dharmic is actually headed to LA. He's coming to New York tomorrow. He's going to be here for a few days, and then he's going to LA for a few days.
Oh, nice.
For like a fundraiser or something.
Oh, cool.
But I was just
is it Hanuman Das?
Hanuman Das. Yeah. So you met yesterday. So Audrey was Aubrey.
Yes. Introduced.
Hanuman
Yes.
Das, all of you guys were together. Perfect. So that's such a small world, because when I met Aubrey, I knew right away that like these guys should meet, because you know, gravitas of personalities, like these guys are big, like they're big minded. They're capable. Like I know you cannot be a mere mortal and then be able to handle so many big personalities, you know, like that's a unique skill to, and like what she does with the TED Talks and what she does with her whole
oh my God.
I mean, everything. She blew me away when I first met her. She hosted me at a Friday dinner, the Sabbath dinner.
Right.
That was one of the most, I can tell you, that was one of my most one of my most insightful experiences ever, because she had us all participate in the prayers.
Wow.
She had us read like it was a normal. She did not deviate from her normal routine. Didn't matter if there were guests there, and and then she asked us all to share. Like there was an excerpt from the Torah that they read, and then she explained it, and then from that she asked all of us to share a personal experience that relates to that. It was a very deep, I mean, this is like kindergarten, first grade, second grade. I used to love those because, you know, immersive. The teacher gets everyone involved and everyone share your story. And tough question. It was like a really, really wild question. And so she made it feel so amazingly at home. And I get homesick when I go away now. I never got homesick until after COVID. That's the only side effect of after COVID I have. Like I get homesick now.
Right.
Like I don't even like being away for a day. Like,
oh wow.
I get nauseous and I get like nervous. And
so she did that.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just forgot how to fly. But when I met her, I realized how she has so many different layers. Like she has that I'm at home and I'm going to do what I do at home. I'm mom first. I'm you know,
right.
And then when she's a beast, she's a bodyguard, then she's the financial bodyguard. And then when she's doing
It's
it,
a financial bodyguard. I love that description. She's like, we're financial bodyguard for companies, startups. I was like, we need that.
yeah, yeah. So I was mentioning Paula. I was talking
Yes.
to Paula, and we're thinking about perhaps somehow doing some type of act of kindness while we're in Vegas.
Oh,
It's unclear exactly what we might do, but
when
I'll keep you posted.
when we're at Supply Side West
Yeah,
in
yeah,
October, I would
yeah,
love to participate. Let me know
yeah.
what you
And
guys think of.
I'm trying to get a lay of the land. I spoke to a couple of local people. We're gonna figure something out.
Yeah,
But
I would
I'll
love
keep you
that.
posted. And Paula, definitely. I told Paula I was on a call with her on Monday, her and
Yeah.
Mandas, and she made me promise that I would tell you that she said hello. She loved
Yeah,
meeting you. And I was
me
like,
too.
and that's the thing. Like, I think the world is such a fabulous place today because we in another era, you guys never would have met. We never would have met. It just wouldn't have.
Never,
So
never.
this
Yeah.
is the glory of the era that we're in.
Yeah.
I want as many people as possible to get to know. If they don't get to meet you, they should know your product because it's
Yes.
a
Yeah.
derivative of you.
Thank
So
you. Yeah.
you're
Yes.
you're so delightful. I appreciate your time, Jess.
Thank you, Day. I'm so glad we met, honestly. Like when we first met, I felt the synergy straight away. And I was like, I feel like I didn't just meet this guy. Like I feel like we've known each other, for years. I don't know. It was just very natural the way our conversation flowed and how much we shared in terms of the similarities in terms of the way that we think and whatnot. And yeah, I think even talking to you now, I feel like we should be talking more. It's so nice to chat with you. Like
Yeah.
it boosts my energy and my vibe even more when I do.
Yeah, I mean, it was no question for me. Anytime that was convenient for you was going to work for me because I knew that as soon as I spoke to you, it's like the sun rises and it was
Yeah.
like daytime for me no matter where it was. So I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jess. You have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend.
Have a
Uh,
good.
give my best to Marianne, your whole
I
team,
will.
everyone.
Yes, I will. And I look forward to seeing the podcast when it comes out
Yeah.
and doing something together in Las Vegas in
Yes,
October.
I will
Yeah.
definitely be in touch. I'll let you know what goes on.
Okay. Sounds
All right.
good.
Thank you so much. All
Good
right. Bye,
night.
Jess.